completed. Yeah, so we are initializing the configuration classes or loading the configuration classes and component classes by using different ways, right? So one we can pass via constructor, argument level, configurations information, or we can use register method, or we can use scan method also. Okay. So before that, what we completed? Okay, we just understood the difference between @bean and @component also. So when we have to go for the @bean, when you have to go for the @component. So I will ask you one very important interview question now. Now you just think and answer me. It's very important, I know. If you have a predefined class, then how can we create bean object for the predefined class? See, when we have a user defined class, how many ways we are creating bean object? Sorry? How we are creating bean object for our user defined class? One is bean method, second one is component method. Now my question is, I have user defined class. Okay, sorry, predefined class. That means the class is coming from the maybe Spring or maybe other third party library, whatever it is. That you are not defined, that is coming as part of the jar file or whatever it is. Now, how can you create object for that class? Component. Is it okay? Can we create via component? Why? You are saying like no, but why? See, component where we are defining generally on top of class level. But do you have source code with you? Source code do you have with you? No. So then can you write down @component on class level? No. Then how can you create object for the predefined classes? Only way is bean method you are writing. So to write down @bean method, do you need to modify any changes on the predefined class? No, you are not doing anything. Simply inside the configuration class, something if you are taking password encryptor, get password encryptor, and internally you are writing like new password encryptor. You are returning that password encryptor object. It's a predefined class. So this is all one of the interview questions. They will ask you the real difference between @bean and @component. So you got the point, right? So you can say one more difference between @bean and @component is this one also. So in interviews, if anyone else is asking the difference between @bean and @component, so you can explain like if you are using @component, class will be scanned by the container and object will be created. If it is bean method, @bean annotation, you have to specifically define inside the configuration class for any bean class. Then only the object will be created. If it is predefined class, yeah, so you have to use always @bean method. Why can't we use @component? Yes, @component is always available at class level, but source code is not defined by us. Source code is given by someone else. We have only .class file. So how can you modify @component on the predefined class level? So that's why, what is the next option you have to create object for that? @bean. So when you want to create more than one bean object also, what is the solution? @bean method you have to take into the consideration. Okay. So now let's talk about the bean scopes. So what are the bean scopes we have? Singleton, prototype. Third one, something request. Fourth one, session. And fifth one is all about global session or application also you can call it as. Okay. So now what is the meaning of singleton bean object? Yeah, when we created bean object, container is created bean object for a class. What is the default scope it will assign? singleton. So we are assigning singleton scope in the sense what container is doing, how container is managing the bean object. Yeah, container is managing the bean object permanently, that respective bean object, and whoever is requested that bean object for the dependency injection point of view, container is creating a new bean object, or is it injecting the same object what is available in the memory level? Yes, it is always, even you are doing that respective bean object you are injecting into couple of places. So everywhere same bean object will be injected or not? When you are not defined any scope. So when you are not defined any scope means bean scope is singleton. So if it is prototype, yeah. So for every request, that means for whenever you are asking container to get a bean object which defined as prototype, what container is doing? Container every time creating a fresh object and is it injecting into the composite object level. So every time it is creating and then injecting. If it is singleton, only one time created and every time same object will be injected into wherever you are achieving the dependency injection. So that's fine. But with respect to annotations, how can we define bean scopes? Okay, so I'm just taking existing one. So what is the bean object we are getting here? Order 1. So order 1 is defined at. So order 1 is a bean ID created for the component class. Now if I got order 1 object from the container, so what is going to happen now? Is it going to give same object always or is it going to give a new object every time? So see here what I am doing, order 2 and followed by order 2. So you are getting same bean object from the container, right? You are requesting same bean object from the container for 2 times. So in this case, what is the default scope for the order 1 bean object? Yes. And one more. So how many bean objects are created for the order class in the memory level, entire memory level? One is from the component, right? You written at the rate component, definitely object will be created. And one more from the at the rate bean configuration. You written one bean method for the order data type. So total how many bean objects will be created? 2. And in the memory level, what is the second bean object name? Bean ID. So first one, with respect to our component, you given bean ID as order 1. Now what is the second order bean object ID? Yes. If you are not given any bean ID, then method name will become, yes, bean ID of that respective object. Now if I got, okay, so see here now, I am getting this time the bean object which is created by the bean method. Order 3 and I am printing order 3. Similarly, I am just getting one more time same order object like order 4. I given different reference variables. Now tell me what is the output you are going to see. That means how many bean objects are going to be created and injected or inserted into in this position. So how many bean objects you are going to get? Yes, total 2 only. One is order 1 and another one is create order 1. The reason is default scope is singleton. We are not defined anywhere else any scope, right? So simply we written at the rate component at the rate bean, but we are not at all talking anything about the scope. So that means internally what is the default scope? Singleton. So in this place, are you going to get the same object? And in this place also, are we going to get the same object or not? Yes. So let me print this. Okay. So see here. What is the meaning of these 2 lines? What is the meaning of these 2 lines? Yes. When you created even from the component, the bean object. So what is the default scope always? Singleton only. So order 1 you got 2 times and container is given to you 2 times, but you got same object or not? Similarly, when you define bean object by using at the rate bean, then also what is the default scope? Singleton scope. Okay, so you got create order 1 2 times from the container. So is it giving same object or not? Yes. For every call, it is giving the same object. Now, if I want to modify the bean scope from singleton to prototype, so what we have to do? For example, I want to make sure order one bean object should be prototype scope. Then what you have to do? Order one is created by using which annotation? @component, right? So let's do what you have to do is you just need to define one more annotation called as scope annotation. And here you just need to provide the scope value. So what is that? Inside double quotes you can give directly prototype. Okay. So that's all done. Now, if I executed same logic again, how many times the order one object is going to be created, as well as for every new request, for every new call from the container point of view, whenever we are requesting the container, please give me order one object, or please inject order one object into current object level. So what it is going to do container internally, it will check the scope of order one is what? This time what is the scope? Yes, prototype. Okay, so now whenever you are requesting order one from the container, so every time it is going to create a new bean object, and that object will be injected into our logic level. So now what about the create order one, which created by the @bean method? So what is the scope for this? Is it also going to be prototype? No. Same, that's what XML way. Okay, let's execute and verify. Okay, if you see here, order is instantiated and different memory location. Order is instantiated and different memory location. So that means how many times order one is created? 2 times by the container. Why it is created 2 times? We requested 2 times from the container. Container, please give me order one object. If you return same way in another classes, 10 to 15 times also same order one. How many times object will be created now? Yeah, the same 15 times. The number of times you are requesting from the container, every time what it is doing, it is creating a new object and injecting. But when it comes to the second bean object of order one, what happened again? Singleton. So the scope is always applicable with respect to that object, or the scope is applicable for all the objects belongs to the same class. Yeah, scope is always applicable for a single bean object. Okay, it's not like I given scope equal to prototype for the order class and order one bean object. Same thing will be impacted at another order bean object like create order one. Is it true? No, the scope is always individual to every bean object. So in this case, scope is singleton by default. Now, if you want to change to singleton to prototype, yeah, where you have to define scope annotation. Yes, go to @bean. So if you define scope annotation here, and what is the value? Prototype. Okay, let's execute now. Now, what is the output you are going to see? How many times order object will be created now? Total 4 times. So here we are requesting, okay, order one point of view, 2 times. Create order one point of view, 2 times. Because this one also scope equal to prototype. This bean ID scope is also prototype. So here also new object will be created and then injected. New object, new object, new object. So is it true or not? Okay, see here, order created and a new object. Order created and a new object. Order is created, method is executed and order is created and a new bean object. And again, a new bean object. So is it clear with the scope in annotations? Apart from that, do we have any other cases? How can we create bean object in annotations? 2 ways. One is @component, @bean. So now we are clear where to declare scope value when you want to change from default to something else. What you have to do now? You have to use an annotation called as @scope annotation, where you can declare @scope annotation. Yes, even if you want to declare a component level, declare scope and that respective value. Similarly, we can define it on top of bean method also. So you can change from default to singleton to the respective bean scope, prototype, especially in our core module point of view, we can do that. So any doubts related to scopes? So that is what I told you when you are understanding the XML configuration. So internal workflow point of view, internal workflow of Spring core module, is it better to understand XML configuration or annotation configuration? Yes, that's why I spent a lot of time on the XML configuration. What is happening in the ref attribute, something you given, all these things are giving internally what is happening. Annotations is very simple. Just declare annotation, everything will be taken care by the Spring container here. But when you define XML configuration, at least we will understand internally what is happening in Spring container level, how bean objects are created, how you are managing the bean objects, what is the ref attribute, how it is injected. So when bean object is injected into another bean object, so is it going to create a new copy or is it going to give always a reference? Yeah, so it is always a reference. Dependency injection is always nothing but a reference. Okay, so let me start. Dependency injection with annotations. Well, how many ways we achieved the dependency injection? 2 ways. What is that? Setter and as well as constructor injection. So what is the meaning of setter in using setter methods internally? So to achieve setter injection, we have to define setter methods or not. Yes. Similarly, constructor injection in the sense you are injecting dependencies via constructors. Via constructor parameters level, you are injecting. What is the difference between constructor and setter? How internally when dependencies will be injected? Yeah, setter is all about first a bean object will be created with default values and then setter method will be called and via setter method the respective bean will be injected. But if it is constructor, while you are constructing the object itself by using constructor parameter, the dependency injection is happening here. So in constructor injection, do we need a constructor? Setter method? No. So in setter method level, do we need any constructors? No. Yes. What is that? Yeah, that is what important. Okay. So when you are not defined any constructor in class, then that means no. But in case if you define at least one constructor with one parameter, then setter injection is going to work. No, internally it will always take help of default constructor. So please be specific to the question, then you can answer very easily. Okay. So now similarly, when I told about the annotations, dependency injection with annotations, we can achieve 3 types of dependency injection. What is that? First one is setter, second one is constructor, and third one is field injection. Okay. So first we will start more about the field injection. So entire night I don't have sleep. The reason is fever I have. So I thought like I don't want to waste your time and I came for half an hour and I came here. Okay, anyway. So I will leave at 8:30 today. Okay, so now second one is setter injection and the third one is constructor injection. Okay, fine. So what is the okay, leave about setter, constructor. You guys are having very good knowledge in the setters and constructors, right? Maybe the way you are just today defining annotations, but internally the functionality is always again same. For setter injection, you need setter method. For constructor injection, you need constructor with parameters. Story is same, whether you are using annotations also. But what is the new one we are seeing here? Field injection. So what is the meaning of field in Java? A variable name or a variable will be called as generally field also, right? So sometimes even people will call it as property level injection also. So what is the meaning of property again here? So if I have a class, so inside employee class we define a dependency of address class. Now what is can I call address as a field? So this address and assume you return a setter method also for the address and assume you return a constructor also. Okay. So from these 3 options, which one is a field? Where you declared at line number 31, I mean, this is, we are calling it as field, right? So generally in Java language, leave about this Spring. Or we can call it as sometimes, people will call it as properties also. Yeah, variable is a regular word, but in professional point of view, sometimes most of the times people will call it as properties. Okay. So Java class property in the sense it's nothing but a variable. It's nothing but a field also. So now guess the dependency injection with respect to field in the sense the dependency is injected via. So generally when we are understanding setter injection and constructor injection, how address is injected into employee? If it is setter injection, by calling the setter method, right? If it is constructor injection, by executing the constructor. Now field injection is talking about the same address object will be injected into employee by using what? A field. Field in the sense directly. Okay, so I have an implementation like this and assume address is also a bean class. On high level, I'm just asking you. Okay, so now this is a bean class and this is a bean class. Now we are talking about the field injection. So internally container is going to inject the address object by using constructor or by using setter or field. I mean, we are talking about the field injection now. So simple, the constructor injection, the injection is happening by using field itself. So that means the dependency injected directly into the field, directly into the property level. So that means what happened? Address equal to the reference of address object will be injected by using directly field itself. So that means to achieve field injection, do we need constructor or setter method? No. So that's all field injection. So it's always directly injecting via the property. Internally container, what it is doing? It is observing with respect to field injection configuration. But how to do that? I'll come back. Okay, if it is a field injection, then what it is doing, is it verifying for the constructor or is it verifying for the setter method? No, it's simply verifying for the respective field method. The respective field is available or not, then the field object will be injected here. Okay, let me save it. Okay, so before entering into the field injection, I will give you one small point. I am creating a new project. So just leave about field injection for 5-10 minutes. We'll come back to the field injection. Before that, I need to discuss a small point. Okay, concentrate here now. Okay. So I written what? So leave about auto wire injection sometime. Just I need to discuss a point before that. Okay, I'm writing a main method class string. Okay, so just concentrate here. It's very important to understand the field injection. So what I can give com dot star can I give? Yes, I can give com dot star or com dot flip cut also. Config application context dot refresh method. Now, how many bean objects will be created into the container level? How many? One bean object will be created for the class called as order class. Fine. Okay. So what is the bean ID here? You are given something like class name as order. It will take class name, right? Let's do one thing. I'll make very simplify. So I'm giving bean ID also here. If you are not given, class name will become, right? Yeah. So I will just simply give order one. But anyway, total how many bean objects will be created for the order now? Only one. So bean ID is order one. And class is order class. So here you just have properties, leave it. Now if you want to get the bean object from the container, what we are doing? Config application context dot get bean of. Okay, if you observe here, there are overloaded methods available in the get bean point of view. But till today, what we are using every day? String data type, get method, get bean method we are using or not? We are always passing the bean ID value as a string and we are getting the bean object from first day one onwards. Now, if you observe here, there are a couple of other get bean methods also available. Okay. So for example, I'm using a get bean method belongs to the overloaded method belongs to what is the parameter type? Class type. So what is the meaning of class type here it is? So I'm giving what is our bean class name? Order. Order dot class I'm passing here. So that means the what is the meaning of this point here it is? This overloaded method. You return this line, right? Now, okay. So the point here it is with respect to this get bean method, you are asking the container please give me or please inject an object belongs to a class called as order class. So how many bean objects available for the order class? Only one bean object will be available. Then immediately what container will do? Container will inject that bean object into your reference level. So if I take in a reference variable here, and if you observe here, what is the return type of this method? Not object. This time what? Directly the bean type itself. You don't need to do typecasting. If it is a string, it's always object, then you have to typecast with respect to a bean type. But today, if you are using dot class instance, so here very clearly you are telling like the bean object belongs to which class? Order class. So here, do you need to do any typecasting? Okay. So what I am doing like this. Okay, now what it will print? So the bean object memory location. So you taken into order one, O1. So that object will be written inside the referred by the O1 reference variable, right? So this is what we need. Only thing is what we use it today, a method which is taking get bean method is taking input of dot class instance of a bean class. Now in case, okay, let's execute this first. So you got the bean object of order or not? Even if you are using this method, fine. Now, if I created one more bean object for the order, how can I create one more bean object for the order now? How can I create? If we want to create one more bean object for the order, you have to write down @ bean methods. Okay, so assume you given order to bean ID, public order return type is and create order 2 or something. Okay, so now overall, how many order objects will be created in the memory with our current logic? 2. Yes, 2 bean objects belongs to which class? Yes, order class. And one bean ID is order 1, second one is order 2. Okay, fine. So one more bean object is created and the bean ID is order 2 and the class name is again same class. Fine. Now see here. So until this you are clear, right? Total 2 bean objects are created for the order class. One is order 1, one more is order 2. Now if you go to the main method, if I executed this line again, I am not doing any changes in the main method. So what we are doing in this highlighted line, you are asking the container, give me the bean of order type. Dot class representing order type. Now immediately container is going and verifying inside the memory level how many bean objects available for the order type. So how many available this time? Total 2 bean objects are available. More than one bean object is available or not? Now container is getting a confusion. So which bean object has to be injected into O1 level? So is it order 1? So is it? So container has to inject order 1 or order 2? Which one? So this time, earlier what you did, get bean method of, you written inside the strings what you written, what you given, bean ID name. For example, you all are students here. If I say like something, so and so person Srikanth, so he will come out. If I say like please come one student, then who will come out? So it's a confusion for all of you, right? So if I specifically mention so and so person, that respective person is coming out from your batch, right? So similarly, guess here, when you given get bean of string data type, you given what specific? Even though you have more than one bean object of a class, you given a specific bean ID when you going with the get bean of string parameter method. But today, what is the class we taken? Yes, get bean of order. The dot class instance you are taking as part of the get bean method. A overloaded method which is taking input of dot class of respective bean type. Now in this case, what is the problem? So it is verifying what it is doing internally. Is there any bean object available for order class or not? So this is what it is verifying in the memory level, the container. So how many available this time? 2 available. In earlier case, before writing the @bean method, how many available? Only 1 available. So that is blindly injected into order 1, right? That is blindly injected into now. Take same scenario. In entire class, only 1 student is sitting here. Only 1 student belongs to student. Only 1 student is available. Now I told like, please come out student. He will come out or not? Yes. The reason is only 1 student is available. When you have more than 1 student again a confusion. So whom he is calling, right? So if I given again specific name, then again that specific person will come out. So similarly here also, when you are using this overloaded method of dot class of bean type, so when this method will work now, tell me. When you configured, when you created only one bean object method level, sorry, in the memory level, then which method we can use? You can use get bean of the dot class instance method you can use here. But when you have more than one bean object of that specific class, now what is the question it is asking? How many bean objects available for the order class? Because what you given here, order dot class. You are specifically saying like order dot class. So order objects. How many order objects? 2 objects are available, more than 1. So then what is the problem? Ambiguity problem or confusion problem. Then what is the error it will throw? What is the exception it will throw? Do you remember a exception previously? Expected, yeah, bean creation will fail and it will say like expected 1 bean object but found 2 bean objects. So when you encountered this situation in previous XML configuration, auto were equal to by type, yes, correct. So when you given by type, what happened? So it's nothing but by type. The get bean of order dot class is equal to the auto were equal to by type, whatever you written in the XML file now. Okay, so that's why I'm telling you, please practice the day one every day, whatever the concepts we understood now. So it is by type or not. You are asking bean object for using by type. It's not like by name. If you given by name, do we have any confusion? Even though you have hundreds of order objects, no, you are giving specific bean ID name, no confusion. So now let's say you are going to get same exception what you get it by type or not. So what is this? Order is created, order 2 is created. Okay, that is fine. But what is the problem? When you are calling this line number 13, total how many bean objects are created? Order is created, order is created. Creation wise, you don't have any problem. But when you got the exception, when this line is executed, then internally container is verifying this guy's given bean ID or bean type. What we given this time? Bean type we given. So with respect to bean type, how many objects we have this time? 2 we have. So then it is saying like, when you are using by type or bean type, I will always expect only one bean object, but I found 2 bean objects. Like that, container is going to give you an exception. No unique bean definition exception expected single matching bean, but found 2. Now, even I want to keep logic as it is, but still I want to execute or I want to get the order object. Then what is the solution you have? So I want to keep 2 objects as it is, but I want to get one of the bean object of order. Then what is the code change you have to do here? Get bean of? Yes, you have to go with a method, string parameter method. Get bean of string parameter method. So in interviews, if someone else is asking, what is method overloading? You will say like what? I mean, leave about this string. You will say like, same method signature with different parameters, so and so story you will say, right? Now immediately they will ask, that's fine, even I know that. Where you encountered method overloading, can you give me a couple of examples? Can you say this example? Yes, you can tell them, okay, when I'm practicing, even though you're fresher, you can tell them like, when I'm practicing the Spring Framework core module, I observed getBean method is overloaded inside the container level. So I am using sometimes getBean of string value. So then when you are having more than one bean object, well, sometimes you are using getBean of order dot class instance you are using when you are having only one bean object. So these kind of examples you can tell them, okay, when I'm practicing Spring, I found a real examples of the method overloading. So is it a real example of method overloading or not? GetBean is the same method name, but different method parameter. First one is string data type, second one is class data type. So what you have to do now? You have to use definitely getBean of string parameter you have to take here, and you have to define out of 2 bean objects, which bean object you have to get inside the order 1 level, O1 level. So then you have to give the here inside the double quotes. If you give an order 2, then again what is the return type? Yeah, it's a string parameter this time, object. So you need to typecast. What is the point we understood from this example? When you have only one bean object for a data type for a bean class, then you can use a method called as getBean also. It's nothing but by type. It's just internally referring a concept of by type. So it blindly inject. You don't need to give again bean ID of. So that's the purpose. And if you have more than one bean object, then what is the method you have to take? GetBean of string parameter method you have to take here. So this point is clear, right? The same logic will be applicable for all other methods also. Tomorrow, if I written one more class called as product class, then what is going to happen? Same concept will be happen. If you created only component products, can I use getBean of product.class or not? So if it is a product class, then what is the method? What is the parameter you have to use here? Product.class. So how many objects available? Only one. That will be injected. If you have more than one, again, same exception. You will get expected one, but found more than one. Kind of exception. No such unique bean definition exception. Expected only one, but found 2. Then what is the solution again? GetBean of string data type you have to take. Okay, so that's the point I would like to discuss before going with because the same thing will come in our dependency injection. So the same concepts we discussed in the dependency injection in XML or not. What is the auto while? Auto while time only, right? We discussed by name, by type, constructor, none. So that is what? Dependency injection only, right? But with respect to what? XML configuration. Today we are going to discuss via annotation based configuration. Okay, so now let's come back to the dependency injection. Okay, so first we are going to discuss more about the field injection and we will understand more use cases around the field injection only, and then we will move to the setter and constructor. It will be very easy once you are understanding this. Okay, so to achieve field injection, do we need to define a field or not? Yes, you have to define a field always. Okay, but is it mandatory to write down a constructor? Okay, or a setter method? No. Okay, we will see those points practically step by step. Okay, so what I'm doing here. Okay, so by using annotations, if you want to achieve the dependency injection, you have an annotation called as auto while annotation. What is that annotation? Auto while annotation. By using this annotation, we can perform field as well as setter as well as constructor injection also. So to achieve three types of injection, what is the annotation we are using? Auto while annotation we are using here. Fine. Now with respect to field level injection, how we are going to achieve by using auto while annotation, we will see here. Okay, so I'm writing one more. Okay, I deleted bean configuration class. Okay, we will come back later. So now tell me how many bean objects will be created for the order? Only one. I deleted the bean configuration. So we have only one component class and directly we return scan method. So internally it will scan component classes and how many objects will be created for the order now? Only one will be created. Okay. So we will discuss use cases later. So let's do one thing. I'm writing a class called as private product. Class name is what? Product. So I'm creating one more class called as product class. Okay. So here okay, so I'm not writing much. We will discuss more in tomorrow also because I'm not able to take it. On a high level, I will just show you, but don't ask internal. We will discuss tomorrow. Don't ask in the sense we will discuss very clearly tomorrow. So product is instantiated. Okay, fine. And I am writing this one also as a component class. Okay, fine. Okay, so now field injection is all about it. The dependency is always injected via field level or property level. So what is the annotation I told you? Auto while annotation you have to use to achieve any type of dependency injection when you are going with annotations. So what is the annotation? You just use auto while on top of the field level. Where you define it is the field level you define here. Now are you written any constructor or are we written any setter method for the property called as product? No, we are not written any constructor for the order which is taking product as a parameter. No constructor. Similarly, are we written any setter method for the product? No. So now let's see what I am doing. Okay, so total how many bean objects available with respect to order one? Order object? Yes, only one available. And even product also? Yes, one we have. Order one, and it's all about product. Right? Because it is also a component class. Dependency injection is always happens between the bean objects. So even order should be bean, product should be bean, then only you can achieve the dependency injection. Okay, total two objects available. Now see here what I am doing. Okay, so let's write down a getter method at least to call that object is real injected or not. So what method I am writing? Only get method I am writing. Just really injected or not. So from the order object, I am extracting product object. So see here, the dependency injection is happened or not. So if it is injected, then what is the value you will see here? The hash code value of product object. Yes. So if it is not injected, then null. It looks like by type, by name, what we understood in the XML or not. If it is injected, if you given ref attribute, generally, then it will be injected. If you are not given ref, then what is the default value? Yes, null. Now ref, can you consider as @auto_void? @auto_void annotation is making same kind of functionalities of ref attribute or not. So that's what you're referencing product object inside the order object. So let's see here. What is this? Product object is injected. Now, what are the changes you did with respect to annotation? You just made a simple annotation on top of property level. So are we defined any constructor inside the order class to inject product? No. Are we written any setter method? No. Then how the dependency injection is happened with respect to this source code? Okay, so assume you written this logic, right? So now what container will do internally, container will verify the product object is available or not. I will discuss some use cases are there again internally. We will discuss that. On high level, I'm telling you, first of all, product bean object is available or not. Yes, in the container it is available. That is what injected into this field level. Now finally, order product object is referenced inside the order one or not? Yes. The product property product equal to reference of product bean object. So that is why you got the bean object from the. So is it really injected inside the order one or not? Yes. So that's why you see here order is created, product is created, and product is extracted from the order object. So how this dependency injection is happened now? By using property or field or. So by using either field or property we can call, but simply by using a property internally container injected into order of product object or not. Yes, it is done here. Now I will ask you one point. If you remove private or somehow you made public or protected, whatever it is, so can you access instance variable of product outside of the class order or not? But if I given private, what is the meaning of private access modifier generally? Within the class, can you access this variable name outside of the order class? In any case, no. Then how container is injected? Container is a third party, right? Container is a different object, right? So container is a different class, right? Then how container is injected even though it is a private variable? But as by achieve encapsulation, we will define private properties. But how it is injected inside the private property? And that injection is happens directly inside the property. Directly it is injecting inside the property level, but it is a private property. How? So don't worry about it. There is a concept of reflection API. Okay, so it's available as part of core Java only, but no one will give you knowledge of reflection API. I know that. But internally, the reflection API is nothing but what you can do by using that API. Even you can access private properties, private methods of a class also. So what is the concept? It is reflection API available in our Java, core Java. Okay. So that by using that API, you can access private properties or even private methods, even constructors also you can access outside of the class. But what is the concept? It is reflection API. Don't worry about the reflection API. We will discuss more in tomorrow also. So in case interviews, they will ask you, if it is private, then how it is injected? Container is a third part outside of the class, outside of the order. Then how it is injected? So internally what they are doing, they are using some reflection API concept. By using reflection API, we can access private constructors, private methods, even private properties also, and we can modify the values of private properties by using reflection API. So if you have more knowledge of reflection API, you just explore 15 to 20 minutes, you will get an idea what is the reflection API. Okay. So I'm just stopping today here itself. So the reason is I need to leave. Okay. Tomorrow what we will discuss, there are so many use cases available with respect to auto-void annotation. Okay. For example, if you have more than one product bean object, then which bean object should be injected here? So if it is product, injected into property. If you have more than one bean object of product, then which one has to be injected here? First one or second one? Yes, again ambiguity. So these kind of use cases, again we will discuss in tomorrow session. When you have more than one bean type object, what will happen and what is the help you have to take. So there are different annotations are available to achieve all these solutions. We will discuss in tomorrow class. Okay. So let's connect and tomorrow because I'm not doing well.